Bonjour mes amis, hi guys, guten Tag, and this is the big one when it comes to Lange. I know in the past I've said it doesn't get any better than this, and well, I was wrong every time because it doesn't get any better than this. And to talk to us about his watch, we have back on the channel Roger. Hello, Roger.
Hi, Uptick, how are you?
Not too bad, and happy to have you back with us. And this is the one that you've been saving for us for last, well, for now.
Yeah.
For now, your the longer passion is still strong with you. So we've gone through your whole current collection, but this is the pinnacle. Can I say that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't mind. Like everyone goes ahead and they chase their Grail, right? And I'm happy to say that I have my Grail. I don't need anything else. It's a it's a investment piece. It's a wearable piece. It's just so legible, and you can yeah, it's the best. It's 38.5 millimeters in the size, which is perfect in modern day standards. It's got blue steel hands, so it's perfect for my old eyes. It's 10 millimeters in thickness, so it's like your paddocks to just slide underneath the cuff. Yeah, and it's the original. It's one of the four original watches that the brand, when it came back, launched with. So yeah.
And let me torture you. What is the name of the watch?
PLM, thank you.
PLM. Pour Le Mérite. Let me change a bit the angle. Pour Le Mérite. And it comes with an actual book made by a Lange fanatic. We'll talk about this as well, Peter Chong. This is the Pour Le Mérite from the late 90s, 97 or thereabouts.
I mean, the brand came back in '94.
Right.
So then, out of the four watches, I think the four watches, one was the one was the Saxonia, one was the Arcadia, the rectangular one, and
Right.
then one was this one, the Pour Le Mérite.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Pour le mérite, and in French we say pour le mérite when you do something for the beauty of it, even if there is nothing more to gain, but obviously there was a lot to gain to make this wonderful watch, which features a tourbillon made in very limited numbers. And as of now, there are other types of Pour Le Mérite made by Lange. It is a name for a model line that is reserved to their more exclusive and complex watches. I think you were saying there are 6 different Pour Le Mérite as of now.
Maybe, yeah.
Such as the one you can see here at the top angle that has I can move the camera a little bit there, that has this disc disappearing. Yeah, this one 38.5 millimeter. This is yellow gold, right?
This is yellow gold, yeah.
Yellow gold. So do you know a bit how many were made in the different the different metals?
Let me see. I think actually, there's that guy on the internet, Alp, with Langepedia, right?
Langepedia. I mean, you can
Shout out, right? Like,
you can never talk about Lange without acknowledging the work of Langepedia
yeah. So
and taking the numbers from the website.
there are 106 in yellow gold, 19 in white gold, 24 in rose gold, and 50 in platinum, and one in steel. And then I mean, this is like humble brag and everything, but the yellow gold is what I consider like the most traditional, the most like a pocket watch. And then the first of this is the one that Walter Lange would wear. So Walter Lange had number one of this piece, right?
Number one, yeah.
So even though maybe the yellow gold doesn't go for as much as auction as the platinum, the fact that it's the traditional one, it's the pocket watch, it's Walter's watch, Air Walter, then I love it.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It's the first time for me to see this watch of yours, which
In person.
which you wear on special occasions. I had seen it on pictures, and I thought it was going to be a much bigger, more imposing watch, being a Fusée-and-chain Tourbillon, and it's actually very petite, and just the contrast of the heat blue, the hands on the sort of slight champagne dial. There's something very magical about the contrast of it, and sometimes you don't find in certain longer models, can leave you a bit cold. This one, there's a great warmth, and obviously the details are extremely crisp, and the format 38.5 millimeter by 10 is it's absolute perfection. On a wrist, we'll include a wrist shot later on, but yeah, the format, the contrast, it is a stunning stunning piece to behold, with the you can say now classic longer case. And yeah, we were just discussing a bit about the origin of the watch, and you mentioned the Grönefeld brothers and Renaud et Papy. So back then, to create this movement, Gunther Blumfeld, Blumlein, sorry, reached out to.
I'm going to make a joke here, and a terrible joke. It's because you're such the Omega James Bond guy. You probably was thinking about that Blofeld.
Blofeld, yeah.
The villain.
Well, actually, I'm wearing the Omega today.
But Blumlein is no.
So Blumlein, yeah, who revived the brand, reached out to Renaud et Papy, famous movement specialist, very known in Switzerland, also known as AP, RP. And back then, the now very famous independents from Holland, the Grönefeld brothers, would have been working there.
Yeah, they were. Bart was working there, and those guys.
Bart, as a side note, but very important. They might have been their hands on this very one. Or Lange has such a small output that you know who has made your watch, and the book that we have here that comes with the watch actually often shows examples of this. So yeah, they developed. Let's zoom on it. The movement here with the tourbillon and the Fusée-and-chain. So, what can you tell us a bit about the movement itself?
I think the movement is about 7 to 8 millimeters in thickness. I don't know how many jewels, but I know like pieces is like 300 plus, 320 something parts of the movement. It's
counting for the chain?
No, the Fusée-and-chain. The Fusée-and-chain is like 600 to 700. There's like 600 to 700 pieces on that Fusée-and-chain, and that's the archaic way, but it's a way of your constant force mechanism, right? So when you're coming off the spring, right, and then I just want to make sure that my time's like super accurate, right?
I'm trying to put the loop on it so we can see a bit better. This actually this might work. There you go, the Fusée chain here.
You want to give it a shot with this, just see if it works? You
might
can try.
Be even smaller.
This is the 10x. You can just try.
Let's go try. We're playing with this, just to show you a bit what we're playing with.
I'll hold one.
This is difficult. It's okay. I'll include maybe
you take some photos or something.
A photo, but you can see clearly the pieces of the chain passing here and around here. So how many pieces for the chain you were saying?
Let me see. If we go back and
Glass shooter waves in the meantime.
we credit up again. It says 636.
636, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so small. So there's a story that you say that you don't know if it's true or it's not true. That basically, in order back then to like assemble the chain, they couldn't get the tolerances like in place. That they would put pieces of paper like tissue paper, like really thin pieces of paper in to like hold everything together, and then once the pieces are together, then they would just use a lighter, a flame to burn the paper away.
Burn the paper.
And then the chain is assembled properly. Yeah.
So you can imagine that servicing this timepiece is quite a labor of of minutiae. This one here was actually serviced a couple of times. We have the very beautiful service book that this watch is an absolute full set. We've got the accompanying book. We have this service book here. I can't show you all the details in it, but there is a whole story of all the steps of making the watch, servicing the watch inside, and yeah, a bit like a high-end car. This is obviously very important. Was serviced a couple of times, and I believe you bought it. You were not the first owner. You got it after the second service.
I'm the third owner.
The third owner.
Yeah.
And when longer services their watches, if any gold is missing, any metal is missing, they will add it back and repolish. So you get it looks like brand new. I don't know how much it had been worn by the previous owners.
Yeah. Well, the previous owner would wear it too.
Yeah.
So, I think what you're talking about, that laser welding and so on, I think the brand does a really good job. Where they can't make the lugs as super sharp as they were in the original.
Right.
They can't, but everything else they can. So it just depends how. Yeah, there's nothing you can show that. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the service book, you can see all the steps.
Oh, we need Johnny Guitar here. You know, he can pronounce that. You can't pronounce this, right?
Gangsreserve, control der Gangs. That's the control of the reserve, the power reserve.
Okay.
And complete Zerlegung, I guess the complete disassembly of the watch and all these things. There you go. That's one service, and there was another service with everything in English. Complete disassembly of the movement, cleaning of all parts. And it's all written by hand with a rate accuracy check at the end, power reserve check, reassembly, lubrication. So there you go. This is what you get in your book, and it's obviously a watch that's meant to last forever, outlast you, and be an incredible heirloom. It's a little piece of real estate that we have here. And there's actually another book, since we are talking about the booklets.
And we're talking about, just to interrupt, right? Air Walter, right? He wore number one. He had the first one, so that he had number one, right?
Yeah.
And then when I say number one, again, the yellow gold one. So then this book was a book that anyone could walk into the boutique. And they would just say, "Hey, learn more about my brand. This is the revival of the brand, right? This is what the family went through, right? So you just give away for free, except this book has a tie to the watch."
Yes, right at the first page, the signature for the of the man
Who wears the
himself,
watch. Yeah.
Walter Lange, who wore number one of this beautiful timepiece, which by the way comes on a very nice strap as well.
You want to put it on the wrist? You want to take off the omega?
Well, if you force me, then I shall. You can enjoy my omega, and I'll see you back tomorrow. I was gonna run some errands.
You're going to.
All right, I'll put it on.
You're going to buy a studio in the second arrondissement of Paris, and
Yeah, so you were joking that we were talking about this being a piece of real estate. You can literally probably buy pieces of real estate in many countries. If you were ever to decide to part with this watch. And this is what it looks like on my wrist, and I think it's perfect. Thank you for
thank you for the gift.
thank you for this lovely gift on a rainy May day. Wow, 38.5 millimeters. You can see the perfection of it.
How does it look if I turn off the lights?
Yeah, try turning off the lights, and now we get some. Yeah, it looks good. Let's do the rest of the video with a bit of natural light, because the reflections are a bit annoying. Look at this. Down the barrel you have a lot of clearance, and yeah, this is modern perfection when it comes to watch. So interesting, so beautiful. Maybe you can talk to me a bit about the dial on this watch.
I don't know. I mean, there's this whole thing in terms of how discreet you want to be. Do you want to have the tourbillon cut out the dial, you know, in the front? Do you want to have discreet, you only know it yourself when it's in the back? You know, not quite sure. I mean, I do love the fact that it is pocket watch style. I do love the fact that it's a tourbillon with the Fusée-and-chain. I like the fact that it's the blue steeled hand. Just makes it so readable. I like having a power reserve with a manual wind watch.
Definitely.
And I don't. Yes, you can have it on the back of the dial, but I think stylistically, having here on the front of the dial balances out the second hands, right?
36 hours of power reserve.
Yeah, so it is low for sure. The original Gen 1 watches, they were all like this. Like the original datograph was also in the 30s, like 30, 38, and so on, in terms of power reserve.
Well, I'm sure a watch like this, you want to wind it every day. It's a ritual to put it on, ritual to wind it.
Oh, I didn't know this was an everyday watch, but yeah, I truly enjoy wearing the watch, and I will wear it. You know, for.
But even more so if it's a special event watch, you don't need 70 hours of power reserve. You wear it for 12 hours perhaps, or a couple of hours.
And then something I do talk to you about. I don't know if you want to do it now or later, but I always like on Lange 1 to the wind. I always like the feel of the wind, and it's just something. This one winds differently. This one is not as smooth as the wind on like the datograph and so on. And I think it might have to do with the Fusée-and-chain. So it has a different
It is
wind.
quite a machine, right, to wind. So let's take off.
And then you can see the tourbillon in movement, right? And to ask you anyways, do you feel it's a heavier watch? I feel it's a heavier watch even though it's in yellow gold, weight-wise.
Well, I love the substance, right? It's got it doesn't feel heavy on the wrist, but it feels substantial, which you really want that, right? But it's.
I should go home and weigh it and see what the actual weight is.
All right, let's do the winding, of the timepiece. Oh, it winds easy. It's not like I was expecting something.
No, but I'm saying it's different. You can see the power reserve.
Yeah, look at the power reserve here. Oh, it is smooth, and the power reserve goes up quite fast. Every wine is about 1 bar. Funny, look at that. Every wine is about 1 bar. And now we can see the tourbillon in action. Is it a 1 minute tourbillon or 30 seconds?
I don't know.
Well, we'll see, yeah. Guys, looking at the video, you can calculate and let's zoom on it in natural light, natural delight, I should say.
Oh, that's a nice video.
Look at that, we can see the blued elements. Now tell us about the mechanism of the, or before we talk about the Fusée-and-chain, the aperture is very original. It's not a full round. It's round and then with a nice flourish, which adds an unusual visual to the watch.
Yeah.
Here. And there's the subdials are stepped slightly, and they have a slight different sheen in person than the rest of the dial. What is the same color, they attract a bit of different elements of light, and they have a slightly different sheen. And for the rest is the 1815 classic design language with the little flourishes at the 12, 3, and 9. The 5 and 7 are a bit truncated, as well as the 8. The 4 escapes it just about, maybe not the bottom. Now some people will say, why do they need to put tourbillon if you can see the tourbillon? Well, on some Lange, you don't actually, many Lange actually, they hide the tourbillon, the perpetual, for example. And I imagine here they tried without, and the emptiness was probably too much, so they added the word. It's often the way it is with design. It's one of the last thing probably that they think into the design is adding a word to balance a bit the dial and the emptiness. Very, very lovely. So yeah, the Fusée-and-chain, what does it do?
So anything for like better timekeeping, right? So the tourbillon, right, was originally for, this goes back to the pocket watch, but I know you want the Fusée-and-chain, but so that it would better regulate the watch time regardless of what position the watch was in, right? Because normally pocket watches would all stay within
They were
one position.
Typically vertical, right?
Vertical, right?
Yeah.
So then it didn't matter as much when it was on the wrist because your wrist is moving and so on, but still they carried over the tourbillon to basically account for gravity, right?
Yep.
Right. Hence the spinning. The Fusée-and-chain though is then another way to regulate the watch. So if you got a spring, and if you just wind up a spring and you release the energy from the spring, you're going to get more energy initially, and then you're going to get less energy later on, or torque, right? But by putting it on a like a bicycle chain, right, you're smoothing out that power. Now, does it work? Sure. Is it a really complex solution to make it work? Yeah, absolutely, right? It's engineering overkill, right? But
which is why the watch is named Pour Le Mérite. You do it because for the beauty of it, the beauty of the sport, the execution. It's exactly what explains the name of the watch. You do it because you can.
I mean, I really do think like this watch coming out in 1994, and then it was their shot across the bow to say, hey, we're back. And then the brand did the same thing again in 1999, I believe, with the datograph.
Yeah.
It was a shot across the bow to say like, hey, look at this. We're a movement company. We make this incredible chronograph. And this is just being cheeky to Paddock, right? Like, what are you guys going to do? You guys are using a common movement
Yeah.
from outside, and because of the datograph, for sure. I mean, I'm not speculating, for sure. Then Paddock said, "Okay, we've got to up our game," which is great, right? And then they upped their game, and now they have their own
When there's
in-house
no
booklet,
competition,
right?
there's no reason to give something better. And they brought a fantastic competition with. And what's great is that with a totally different design language at the same time. So.
Yeah. What else? I mean, there is what is associated with here, which is like the glashütte stripes, right? The base plate. Maybe for something like this, you want a movement that's even decorated to a higher standard, right? Like if we look at this movement under like a 10x loop and so on, you'll see it's
Actually,
more,
I can go 15x here, but
it's
it gets
more,
a bit.
it's more rustic. It's more, like I say, like Roger Smith. It's not to the like Dufour standards, right? I mean, this is early days, early production, right? The brand came back in '94. This one was sold in '97. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can see a bit the bevel, small beveling, the engraving, of course, engine turning actually also at the bottom of the balance cock here and lower down. Blue screws, the jewels in the chatons famously. But it's also the pleasure of a handmade finishing is that when it's not perfect. There's the imperfection makes the perfection, and
you know, another thing is like you've seen my M.O. Lang, the moon phase, right? The one, the rose gold. Like, people associate Germans being like just being so precise, so, I don't want to say cold, but you know, like this Bauhaus language and so on. Severe. That's still, and I don't mean in a bad way, right? Like, but then like they do, the brand does do watches like this watch where there is. I look at this watch and I think it's a romantic watch.
Yep. Yeah, as I said when we a bit earlier on. A couple of days ago, I had another encounter with the triple split, and while the movement is obviously incredible to look at, the watch itself leaves me a bit cold, and I feel some buyers feel the same. While this one captivates me immediately, and the size, of course, helps as well. But I also like the design of the 1815 dial. It's I had bought the annual calendar over the Patek because the design works for me, speaks to me, and simple things like the rounded brand moniker. It's little things that just works. This little flourish here in the window, the cutout of the tourbillon. And there's something with the sub-dial that's also grabbing a bit the attention. And yeah, this one is definitely has that romantic side, like your moon phase that we discussed in the previous video.
Yeah. Or there's other ones where, like, I get it. The brand is associated with the big date. It was the one that really came out with the big date, and then a lot of other brands also came out with big dates. That's totally fine. But a lot of their watches, like the 1815, like the Lange-Matic, and now the Saxonia lines.
Yeah.
Just a lot of the watch, maybe like some of the jumping seconds. A lot of the watches that are non-date watches are just so nice. Yeah. Like, actually, it's done so nice, and I'm not just trying to fill up the white space here. I normally like applied markers.
Right.
Like I like the difference in visual depth.
Yes.
Right? But sometimes printed markers are done so nicely.
You know, I spend a lot of time looking at the printed markers of my 1815 annual because they have this sheen, they glisten, you know, in the light. It's a separate pleasure from an applied marker. You're very right about that. And having a tourbillon, I mean, I'm just holding a tourbillon here. Never mind the Fusée-and-chain, but what about the tourbillon in itself? Are you a tourbillon aficionado? Would you own another one?
I am not a tourbillon aficionado.
Are you beyond the tourbillon for owning this watch? Is it because of the tourbillon that you wanted it?
Oh, I think you remember. It was probably from something else. So I bought the Lange one perpetual, the one that came on out
Yes.
recently, right? And it was not the perpetual tourbillon. The brand sold the perpetual tourbillon for a long time, and tourbillons never appealed to me. I was like, I don't want to pay another $100,000 US for something that I don't like.
Yeah.
It's nonsense, right? But I made the exception in this case because it's my Grail. I'm totally fine, you know. Like
As I said,
I don't
just
search on
last week I
tourbillon.
was saying I'm not a fan of tourbillon, but the integration here, the principle of it, the way it looks here. I mean, guys, I hope you'll get to experience in person what I experienced seeing it. You wouldn't want it any other way, and the tourbillon integrates in the design and the concept. In a way that you can enjoy that tourbillon. Yeah.
You want to show the book?
So now, explain a bit what you were telling me about Peter Chong and his passion for Lange and what he provided for every owner of a Pour Le Mérite.
Yeah. So Peter Chong was a moderator for this original forum back when the web wasn't the web, called Time Zone. And then I think Time Zone's actually, full disclosure, I think Time Zone's associated with Antiquorum. I think Antiquorum maybe purchased it later on or so on. But Peter was one of the moderators for the Lange forum. And then he was friends with Gunter Line. He was friends. He had a number of watches.
So we can't show the next page because. Keep going. Yeah.
So
we'll explain why in
well,
the explanation.
Yeah. So and the PLM was such an iconic watch that Peter was also really big into photography. Really big part of the community. Everyone knew Peter, right? So he decided to write a book. So this is the definitive book on the original Tourbillon PLM, and he went to the factory to take photos. He went to different collectors to take photos of different collectors' watches. He wrote down all the specs. Well, there's going to right there. So that's the original 4.
Yeah, the definitive.
Yeah. So
Famous
so
picture.
what I think there were 2 different tranches of these books. There was maybe like 500. Oh, there's a few scene change. 500 of these books for sale, and then there were. I'm sorry, my numbers are going to be off. And then there was 1 book per watch. So 1 book gets assigned to the Anthony DeHaas. One book gets assigned per watch. So a signed number with each watch.
So yeah, the first page will have actually.
Here was back when this was made. So then there were there were 4 Pour Le Mérites. There's probably more now, right?
Yeah. So yeah, the first page of the book will have the actual serial number, number out of 150 of your watch. So we'll keep that out of here. And since I can't get you a proper zoom, there you go. You can see a bit here the tourbillon and a bit more of the details. And the book is really, really impressive.
It's like a coffee table book, right?
Yeah.
I'll put something under it.
There you go, this way. So I can open it a bit wider. And an incredible amount of detail about
Yeah, Peter was a photographer extraordinaire.
it's ridiculous, those pictures. I'm looking for a bit of the pages where you see elements of the watches being built. Walter Lange and his watch. Some collectors.
That's even less. So that's a white gold version, right?
Yeah.
That's the turbograph. You never see those.
Is there something you can tell us about the purchase experience of the watch? It came obviously from a collector. These watches are not owned by chance, right? You can see a bit here the people who make the actual watches. This is really also what's important for the collectors, who finishes, who. Because the movement was by Renaud Papy, and then it was finished, and the second assembly was made at Lange, if I understand well. And here you can see all the details. So yeah, a bit.
There's shots of your tourbillon. And,
yeah, the story of how you acquire the.
I can't give too much away, but needless to say, I also purchased it from another collector because I wasn't in the position to, and I wasn't into the brand, right, when the watch originally was sold in '97.
Yeah.
Right. So at that point, of course, it's a secondary market. But I'm really happy that I was able to buy it from this collector, and what I can say, there's your Fusée-and-chain.
The chain, yeah.
And I'm happy to say that I probably knew the collector for more than a decade.
Yeah.
Before actually, purchasing the watch from him. And then they always do say things like, you're not buying the watch, you're buying the person, right? You're buying the seller, right?
Very true.
In terms of that trust factor, right? So I'm happy that he was able to sell the watch and keep it within the community. I'm sure he's happy that it's not just being flipped and someone else is actually really, really enjoying the watch. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and all we can say about your watch in particular, because each of the watches has an important story about how it is built, who owns it, and its afterlife. Let's just say it has interesting provenance and great pedigree. That's the sufficient information that we can about it.
For this one, this is clearly then you're talking about your full box and papers, right? The full the full spa, everything experience, the history of the watch, all the service.
So the box, if you want to know everything, is still fully sealed. So we're going to keep it like that because they tend to deteriorate, especially being from the late 90s. So we keep that one safe and sound, but this watch is full set with extra, of course, with the book, which is very important. If someone sadly needs to part with one of these, the next buyer will want to own the accompanying book. You have the extra book that you get from the boutique back then, and of course the history
The services,
of the service, which is extremely important.
which is important. Back then, the service cost was the service cost was €4,000 for this watch.
For this watch, yeah.
Yeah, €4,000 is I don't know, is a more than a Black Bay 58 now.
It's about the price,
About the same, yeah. It's a
about
black,
the
so it's a
price.
Black Bay 58, right, for the service.
Well, you take away from the bench one or two watchmakers. I mean, extremely qualified watchmakers at that, and so you delay the watchmaking of the watch delivery of somebody else.
Yeah.
So there's all that to take into account when it comes to incredible machines such as these. I think we've covered a bit everything, and I hope we transmit your passion to everyone. But again, in person, this is way beyond what I had imagined it would convey. And so if sometimes you feel Lange is a bit too Germanic, you like a bit more Latin inspired watches, I think this one is something that you owe to yourself to discover in person. And it's
And you can go to the auction houses. They have the viewings. These watches do come on up, right? So you can put it on your wrist. You can have that experience for 5 minutes. I mean, but still, it's worth it.
It is.
It really is.
All right, Roger. Anything else you'd love to add about the Pour Le Mérite?
I'm just I'm very satisfied. I love this neo vintage era of the brand. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, it was. I don't mind that the finishing levels aren't as high as they are right now. Right. I like this beauty, and I want to see the watch age as that German silver oxidizes and becomes more golden. Love it.
Well, on those parting words, thank you, Roger, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. And if you have any questions about Lange and this watch in particular, please share in the comments and give this watch a like, and all the people who work on building these, servicing these, keeping them alive, and all the collectors, and Roger, of course. Bye bye, guys.